Jackie Carson, the women's basketball coach, joining us. I know that most of the year you would say, hey, I'd rather be on the coast, right?
Absolutely, but I definitely will take this over the snow that I've seen in the Upper East. So, yeah, no, I'll be okay with the cold. Just no snow and hopefully no ice.
So, your team got what can only be categorized as an ugly win
Yes,
yesterday.
horrendously ugly.
You
Yes,
you shoot 26% from the
yeah,
field and still find a way
right.
to win. That's hard to do, and
Yeah,
yet you did it in a nice win over Sanford.
yeah. I mean, that couldn't have gotten any uglier. I think what helped us get the win is we made them just as ugly. So, I mean, anytime you start out the game and then first quarter at home shoot 6%, that's usually going to be a really long evening. Like we did that against Georgia, and that was a really long day. And so, but the great thing is we made them shoot 8% in the third quarter, which was a huge difference, and that's where we regained the lead, and we kept it for the remainder of the game. So defensively, it's very difficult to go against Sanford. So I'm gonna chalk the offensive woes up to me. We did so many defensive breakdowns on that team because you have to. That we probably didn't shoot enough, so we're gonna do a lot of shooting today.
Well, whatever it takes. All I know is that you're down 18-14 at half. In 20 minutes of play, you only scored 14 points, but
Yeah.
you did come out strong offensively in the third quarter. So what changed?
Well, one of the things that we harped on in the locker room was, okay, our shots are not falling, so what else are you going to bring to the table? Are you going to be able to be a rebounder? Are you going to be a defensive stopper? And the one thing that's really different about the makeup of our team this year is when I challenge them, they really, really respond. They take it personal. And, okay, if we're not hitting shots, okay, let's go figure out what we can do on defense. And our defense was already pretty strong. Obviously, they couldn't score either, but I felt like it went up a notch. And so that kind of ignited our offense as well.
Uh, this is a team, obviously a very young basketball team
Right.
that you have, and we're going to talk about a change that's led for you here in just a bit. But to say they respond to challenges when you challenge them, but you were telling me that they kind of challenge each other
They do.
as well.
They do. You know, this is one of the first teams in my 8th season. This is one of the first teams where they'll literally say, "I need more from you," and each girl responds instead of, girls, we can be a little catty sometimes. We can bicker back and forth. And
Now, see, I couldn't get away
no,
with
you
saying
can't say that. Only I can say that. But
I live in a house full of women,
you are
but
a
I couldn't
smart
say
man,
that.
Dan. You are very smart. Your wife and I think your daughter, and they taught you well.
Anyway, continue.
But no, but we used to hang on to that and not hear the message behind it. We just hear, sometimes we hear tone too much. Sometimes we hear, well, you're not doing what you're supposed to do, that type of thing. But our girls are saying to each other, hey, I need more from you. And then whoever they're talking to really responds to that. So that's a huge difference. It's just the response from this team is and our growth over the course of the year. That's a big thing.
Get the head bobbing and the finger pointing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't get
you
don't get the message,
you
right?
better not, yeah, you got to see through all of that.
Well, you were able to get things rolling after you challenged them, and then although again in the second half didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but you made some big shots and more importantly hit some big free throws when it mattered the most.
Well, that's one of the things against PC that we felt like cost us the game was free throws. We couldn't, and I believe in the overtime period we missed 3 straight free throws. That obviously would have helped seal the game for us, and it cost us the game. So in practice, every single day we shoot 100 team free throws, and we put up there, and our team goal for every single game is to shoot 80%. And we really focused that we hadn't gotten 80% in a while. And this was the first game, probably the loudest cheer. We always go over our team goals in the locker room after the game. The loudest one was when I think we shot 84, 83% for the game from the free throw line. And they saw that, of course, that gives you the win against a team like Sanford because they don't miss free throws. So if you want to win against Sanford, you better hit your free throws. And that's exactly what they did. So, but yeah, we still didn't shoot well. Anytime you can come away from a win and you're starting point guard and starting 2 guard or shooting 2 for 27 for the game, that we're gonna just be happy with that.
I mean, there are just really no words for something like that because under most circumstances, when that happens, you just go ahead and chalk one up in the L column and move on.
Right, and I mean, like I said, Sanford is a tremendously talented team that scores the ball well. And when they were missing layups, I just started to wonder. I was like, maybe the baskets are off, So, but then I guess they fixed it between the men's game. They didn't have a problem. So, but no, It's just one of those you just survive in advance. It's the same mindset that you would have for a tournament game. Is just find a way to win when everything's not going right. Find the ways to win, and then just go with it.
Yeah, it was just kind of interesting to watch how everything unfolded last night, but to see your girls step up and hit the big free throws and make some big shots down the stretch. And you see this in this sport in particular. I mean, you're going to have nights where the shots simply don't fall. Maybe not to the extreme of last night, but you're going to have nights where the shots don't fall. But there are parts of the game that can always be there, whether you're shooting or not, and that is hustle, rebounding, effort, all of those things. And I've seen enough of your practices to know that those are things that you do not compromise on.
Yeah, absolutely. Energy and effort, and I tell them all the time is rebounding is will and want. You got to be willing to go get in there, get dirty, get bumped around a little bit, and you got to go want the ball. You shouldn't see anyone around you. I think it's difficult for my team to live up to the rebounding because that's what I was, and I played at a whopping 150 pounds, so I was a little skinny thing, but if I didn't rebound, I wouldn't have anywhere close to the career here that I did. And so that's what I just see it all the time. And it's just rebounding, will, and want. And then our defensive pressure, we know we're one of the strongest defensive teams in this league, but we hadn't shown it for about 5 games. And we did show that we could score up until yesterday. I think we're right behind Mercer and scoring offense in the league, and our defense is still up there, even though we haven't played the defense that we wanted to do. So I'm glad that defense came back. I just don't want to compromise one for the other. So I hope our offense comes back, and then it'll be kind of exactly where we need to be.
Like Bob Ritchie talks about balance, and we don't want to be known as an offensive team, or we want to be able to do both. And if you can get them both rolling on the same night, that would be good, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is Jackie Carson, the women's basketball coach here at Furman. Her team's off to a 10-5 start. That was the SoCon opener last night, the win over Sanford. So 1-0 in the league. And again, with a very, very young basketball team. So I asked you before we came back from the break, I said, are you ahead of where you thought you would be? Are you behind where you thought you would be, 15 games into the season? And you had a very interesting response.
Yeah. Going into my 8th season, I've learned a lot. And one of the things I learned was not to put the undue pressure on my team and myself of where we should be and go get a championship. We're one game at a time, and we're going into game 2 of our conference against Mercer. And that's where we are today. Today, we're trying to be better than we were yesterday against Sanford. Tomorrow, we'll try to be better than we were today in practice. And that's, we really have just gone by the mantra of just saying one day at a time, and just, we're not looking forward to, we're not going to March. We're not going to next week. We're going to today. And then tomorrow we'll go to Mercer and we'll focus on Mercer. And I always tell them when we get a win, you got about an hour or 2 where you can celebrate this, and then we move on to the next day. So as long as with a team of 7 freshmen, 8 total newcomers, with one transfer, we just want to be better than we were the day before. And that's helped me relax a little bit and not hang on to some bad losses or tough losses. And that's helped our team be able to also move on.
7 freshmen on your roster. Remarkably, I don't see one single gray hair.
They're hiding. I hide them under all the black ones. They're there.
How difficult was it for you to make something of a philosophical change? Because we all get kind of set in our ways, and we have our way of doing things, and coaches by and large are successful because they develop a way of doing things.
Right. I'm always one that wants to evolve and grow, and I got to realize that sometimes when we ask our girls to improve, we have to also look in the mirror and improve ourselves. And so I did a lot of that the last 2 years, especially as a person and as a coach, and how can I make the program stronger? How can I be better for my staff? How can I be better for my programs, for my players? How can I be a better wife? It's just things that you got to be evolving on as a mother. Those type of things.
You want us to get Rob on and let him answer that question?
Oh my gosh, he has more gray. I was thinking that he has a lot of gray, so that might mean I'm stressing him out. But it's I had to look back and say, we've had some talented kids here, and we just haven't found a way to get it done. And and we've had outstanding support, and it wasn't because of the talent. So we had to address another issue. We just had to say, hey, where's the belief completely, and where's the buy-in that we're going to do this for each other? And that's probably what the biggest difference is in this team and past teams. Not to say the past teams didn't do it, but there's such a strong belief in one another this year. They go to bat for one another this year. They It's hard. We lost a lot of players from last year's roster this year, but sometimes that's exactly what's needed, and people don't understand that until you kind of see the result of it this year. So that's the biggest thing. Is just we had a bad practice before Sanford, and they came back and they practiced on their own without the coaching staff. And Deanisha Jackson texted me that night. She said, "Coach, we're going to win. Don't worry about it. I know we didn't practice well, but I have a feeling." And I text back and I said, "Well, I'm glad you have a better feeling than me because we didn't." She said, "I get it. We didn't have a good practice, but I got your back. We're going to win." And then she texted me last night. "I told you we were going to win." So it's stuff like that that's a little bit different than the years before.
So with 7 freshmen on the team, 8 newcomers, you mentioned the transfer. Where's the leadership coming from?
One of the things, we don't have captains, so.
Is that by design?
It is. It's one of those things that you learn from. Sometimes, especially with our girls, if you were named captain, it's this unnecessary pressure that they think they have to be perfect. I tell them every day I'm in a leadership role but I'm not perfect. I'm not even close to perfect. But, our girls in the past always felt like the captains couldn't make a mistake. Nobody could say anything to the captains. The captains were the only one that could talk. Well, we can't have that with so many young kids, So I think one of the things is our leadership has been tremendous from Deanisha Jackson, Sierra Carter, and Stephanie Ramos, our 3 seniors. But our freshmen called 2 weeks ago. We weren't playing up to par. Our freshmen called a team meeting, and they were able to speak. And so it's that type of freedom that I think has made our team special this year. And we wanted to not have captains, like you said, by design, so that everyone feels like they can talk and say what they need to say and say what they're seeing. Because we have like Tiara Hodges is a sophomore and she's hurt, so she has a whole different view of how this is all working. So she speaks up a lot. Leger speaks up a lot. So it's just a thing where it gives everyone a voice.
That's it's wonderful. Obviously, wonderful that it's working. It's also can be a little dangerous if the circumstances aren't right.
That's right. It could. It definitely could because. And that's sometimes, and we've dealt with that this season, where we're saying the wrong things or the things that could damage us. But I think that's, again, something we've learned from in our past because we have had those situations and our leadership kind of just shut those things down. And our freshmen learn, okay, these are the things that need to be said. These are things that don't need to be said. And I've also talked to my coaching staff. I said, we got to be more positive. There's going to be times where I'm correcting so many things. I need my assistants to build everyone back up. And I need you guys to build each other up. So as long as we're saying a lot of positive things and everyone knows the intent of what's supposed to be said, I think that's a big difference.
How it seems like every year, almost everywhere, there are always coaching staff changes. Somebody moves on. So every team has to develop chemistry. When you've got 7 freshmen, obviously there's a lot of chemistry development that has to go on. But a coaching staff has to develop chemistry as well. How has that gone?
It's gone great. Honestly, this is nothing against the coaches I've had in the past or director of ops I've had in the past, but I was thinking that while I was getting dressed this morning because I try to reflect on each day. This is the most comfortable I felt because I'm really just blessed to have a really outstanding staff that I feel like has my back every single way. Now, they challenge me every day. Me and Pierre Curtis probably argue more about play calls and defensive schemes and that type of thing. But at the end of the day, he has my back. And Chronica Randall, associate head coach, she's done an outstanding job of growing and knowing what we want coming from Marshall. And then Krista Beachy is just an outstanding mind. All 3 of them have an equal share of the scouts. So it helps develop them. The girls believe in them. Brittany Washington is our director of ops. She's local. She went to Hillcrest, and I've known her ever since she's been in high school. And it's one of those things where as a staff, you have to be aware that everybody has your back. And they know I have their back. And that's the most comfortable feel I've had in a long time. And it's nice to go into another season with the same coaching staff that you had the year before because, again, I've been blessed to have good people around me. And, we lost 1 to BCS. We lost 2 to head coaching jobs. So that's a great thing. But we also want to keep some cohesiveness within our program.
And also at this level, by and large, you're dealing with younger assistants, which means they have to learn to develop a thick skin because like at home, if mama ain't happy, nobody's happy, right?
Nobody's happy. That's the thing. My staff, I think this is the year when you go through your first year learning how a coach is, and they know I have certain little things I can care less about how it's done. There's certain things I just want a certain way. So it usually takes a year to learn that. And so Krista Beachy and Karonica Randall, they have done a good job of learning that and kind of getting a feel. When I give them an area, I'm like, hey, this is how I want it done. And, and coach, you want this? And I'm like, I don't care. Just get it done, and that's where I think they've gotten more comfortable. And like I said, Brittany Washington has always been like helping with camp, and she's amazing. She's the one that does the most work behind the scenes that no one ever sees. So,
but then the trust factor works both ways.
Oh, absolutely.
You have obviously developed and understand that you can trust these people. If
Right.
you will tell someone, I don't care,
how I get it
just
done.
get
Yeah,
it done,
just
right?
get it done. I totally, and you're exactly right. The trust that I have in them, that they're saying the right things at all times, they're doing the right things at all times. That's huge for trust and loyalty. Those are two things, especially when you're dealing with staff members, that nothing can top. So I trust them with all my heart. They know I have their back. That they have my back, and it's just been a very comfortable feel. And the girls also now, and the girls are in our office. I just left half of them in my office right now, all the time, just hanging out with the staff. It's just really, truly the most family feel that I've had in 8 years.
And this is, as we all know, this is a different generation
Yeah.
of young athletes.
Yeah.
In many ways, some good, and
Right.
and for those of us who are older, some not so good.
Right.
But they're also very aware of things like,
Yep.
are my coaches getting along?
They are very,
and
yes.
and are they telling us one thing and
Yeah.
doing something else? So I mean, you've got 15 sets of eyes
Yeah,
on you
that's right.
at all time, don't you?
That's exactly right. I mean, kids, they're very perceptive, and they know exactly what's going on. They can tell if there's tension. They can tell anything, and you got to practice what you preach. I remember we have distinct principles. So if you see anything on our social media, it's be distinct, and that's discipline and intensity and selflessness and trust or transparency, integrity, no excuses, commitment, and then the other T, trust or transparency. But Sierra Carter, because she's like, Coach, you're a lot more honest this year. You're a lot more vocal. I so like that, and so we're very vocal about what our expectations of our girls, and they're allowed to be very vocal.
I've
Yeah.
been to some of your practices.
Yeah.
You're more vocal this year.
I am more transparent.
Okay.
I used to group everything like, I need you to rebound, but I didn't say who, because I felt like our girls would take it too personal. Now daily, Sierra Carter, you need to rebound. So it's not a secret who I'm talking about anymore.
Yeah, well, you know what though, I think just like with our children at home, they need to be challenged.
Exactly.
And they need to be challenged collectively sometimes, and
Right.
sometimes they need to be challenged individually.
Right, and that's exactly right. I again, one of the things I had to change is, we're not doing this. Someone didn't touch the line, blah, blah, blah. Such and such, you did not touch the line. So now the girls say, hey, you got to touch that line. They know they're looking for it. One game I said, I didn't do what I need to do, and I apologize, and I'll get better. And so there's got to be faults, saying it on both sides. Our girls were like, Coach, we need this. Okay, I got you. We can do that, and so it's that transparency. It's that trust that we have with our group this year. And like I said, it's with the assistant coaches as well. They'll tell us something. If we keep them accountable for that, like I'll go on recruiting trips and they're like, you didn't text us 4 times to tell us you were leaving. So it's the rule that I have being a mama coach, where when they go out of town, they got to text me when they leave, when they get there, when they leave, when they get there, and when they get back. And so they'll tell me all the time, same thing. You didn't text us. You have a 5 and 5 or something like that. So.
Yeah, it's the bad thing. The bad side is setting a standard.
Absolutely.
They turn around and hold you to the same thing, right?
Standard. I got to make sure to text.
This is Jackie Carson, the women's head coach, as we continue on the show here. Before we let you go, just kind of looking ahead, Mercer coming in. They have been one of the better teams
Right.
In the league. Just talk about that challenge, and then maybe handicap the rest of the league for us.
Yeah, well, Mercer is they're the dragon right now, and so we hope that we can slay the dragon. They're an outstanding team, kind of the opposite of us. They have 5 seniors that have kind of laid the foundation and the groundwork for that program. They've won the regular season the last 2 years, and Susie does a great job of building that team and demanding excellence out of them, and their players demand excellence, and you can tell that. They beat North Carolina last week. They're tremendous scorers. They have the preseason and last year's, I think, the two-time player of the year, and Kalia Lawrence. And I've heard it at least 3 times in the last week. The best player on Mercer's basketball program is the one on the women's team, and she has the best pure jump shot of probably anyone in men's or women's basketball in our Southern Conference. So she's that talented, and this year they've done a really great job of having a whole lot of other scorers around her. So we got to find a way to just be ready for the challenge. I would love to keep our home record this season. We haven't lost a game at home. And so that would be a great thing for us to continue on and be able to slay the dragon. But the rest of the league is just, there's no easy games in our league this year. A lot of teams are facing some adversity with injuries, so we're not the only one. We can't make an excuse for that. But Chattanooga's still Chattanooga. They beat 5 Power Fives in the non-conference schedule. Our league did outstanding in the non-conference play and really challenged our scheduling this year. ETSU has, I think, 2 young ladies that are top 10, top 20 in steals in the country. And so they're always a challenge. Western Carolina has really found their identity. I think they're playing hard. They're going to give a challenge. Goodness, Sanford, you see Sanford, they're just always Sanford. They're the hardest team, I believe, in our league to prepare against. Goodness, Wofford, I know they had the injury to their best player, their top scorer, Chloe Wainick, but they're still Wofford. Again, Jimmy does a great job. And who am I missing?
In other words, there's just no easy
There's
outs.
Nothing. There's not a game you can look and, we can breathe because we can get this one. UNC Greensboro, they've always given us fits in the past. I don't think a lot of people realize my niece plays for UNC Greensboro, so it's always a little family rivalry. And she's one of their top players. I mean, I can go on and on. I think I missed one team in there, but it's just our league is very, very difficult, and so we got to be ready to play every game.
Easiest out is the Citadel because they don't have a women's
Exactly,
program,
and BMI.
right?
So we love Citadel and BMI. We don't have to play them at all. I don't miss that travel. I don't want to go to BMI.
Yeah, there's no easy way to get to Lexington.
No,
It's just
and I'm from Virginia, so no.
5.5 hours, no matter how you try to get
Yeah.
there. Well, listen, congratulations on gutting out a very tough win, 7-0 at home,
Yep.
and 2 o'clock on Saturday
2 o'clock.
against Mercer here at Timmons Arena, part of the men's-women's doubleheader. It'll be on ESPN3, but we encourage everybody to come out here. Students will be moving back, so hopefully we're going to have more of a student presence this weekend.
Yeah, I miss we get a great presence from the other student athletes. I miss my football players, so I hope they come back a little bit early. Somehow this year with scheduling, both times that we play Mercer, it's a Furman Mercer doubleheader. So when we go to Macon, it's the same thing, and they draw extremely well. So we need our fans to come out and give that same thing back to them.
All right, 2 o'clock Saturday. That's tomorrow here at Timmons Arena. Jackie, thank you very much. Looking
Thanks,
forward to
Dan.
doing this again.
Absolutely. Thank you.